Missouri is an incredible study that proves the background checks save lives. I just tell you this very quickly. Missouri used to have what's called a permit to purchase rule. So you had to get a permit to own a gun before you could go into a gun store and buy it. They repealed that in 2007. And Johns Hopkins University did a study on this, and they found that as a consequence of that law being repealed, an additional 55 to 63 murders per year in Missouri every year from 2008 to 2012 have occurred. And they controlled for changes in policing, incarceration, burglaries, unemployment, poverty, and other state laws adopted during the study period. All of this apropos, of course, of the Michael Dunn verdict coming back in the Jordan Davis murder over the weekend. Meanwhile, in Arkansas, a group of kids were going to play a prank on another kid by egging his car and then covering it in leaves. And then when he came out to see the car, they were all going to jump up and go, surprise! And what they didn't know was that his dad had a shotgun in the house, and his dad saw them doing it and came out with the shotgun. And when they jumped up to yell surprise, he shot and killed a 15-year-old girl. I'm looking for her name here. This is well, we'll get to that. Here it is. I've got it. In any case, I want to get Neil McCabe on here and talk about this stuff. This is very concerning. Neil is the editor of Guns and Patriots. By the way, Joe Madison is going to be with us after Neil to discuss this as well. He's the editor of Guns and Patriots column for Human Events, where you'll find his latest column on the Cornyn-Stockman U.S. Senate runoff election posted. There's a link on our website. His website, Neil W. McCabe, MCCABE.com. Neil, welcome back.
Great to be opening for Joe Madison.
Joe's a good guy. I look forward to talking to him about this. You wrote in your, I don't know if this was published or if this was just a note you sent Sean about your thoughts on this issue, but you wrote, unlike the rules for our troops in battle, Americans don't have to wait to be shot before defending themselves. And, of course, this is how this guy got off on the first-degree murder conviction, or at least got a hung jury, down in Florida, is he said, I was afraid. And under the Stand Your Ground, Shoot First laws, all you have to do is say, I was afraid. It's the same thing that George Zimmerman said. And if the jury can't, or if the prosecution can't prove that you weren't afraid, then your assertion of fear is unchallengeable because the law does not require any objective proof. It only requires an assertion of fear. And both in the Trayvon Martin case and in the Jordan Davis case, the murderers simply asserted they were afraid and therefore avoided a first-degree murder conviction. Why should our troops have to know that they are at risk, be shot at before they can shoot, but some bozo down in Florida who, in the case of Michael Dunn, he was estranged from his son. They had a horrible relationship, he and his son, basically hated each other. His son got married. He went to the wedding. He had words with his son, slammed down a bunch of drinks. He and his girlfriend left. He had been divorced from his son's mother and had a bunch of drinks. They stopped at a liquor store, a convenience store, to get some more booze. She went in to get it along with some chips. And meanwhile, a carload of teenagers, African-American teenagers, sitting next to him playing loud music, and he starts yelling at them and going off on them. I just don't understand how you could in any way defend that or justify that.
Well, glad to be on with you, Tom, and have that opportunity. First of all, I think that if you spoke to the troops in the field, to a man, they would tell you that they are very uncomfortable with the rules of engagement and that they feel like they're being set up as sitting ducks. But that's not really what we want to talk about.
Well, if that sentiment was true, it would go up the line of command, and you would see a change in the rules of engagement.
Not necessarily, Tom. And you're speaking to someone who has to take an annual rules of engagement training class every year as part of my Army Reserve service. Mm-hmm. And every time there is fierce debate and argument with the poor JAG officer who has to explain to the Joes why they have to sit and be shot at. Right. But the second thing is, with Zimmerman, although the left wanted to make it about stand your ground, his defense was not actually stand your ground.
But had stand your ground not been included in the jury instructions, and we know this now from interviews with the jurors, had the judge explicitly included stand your ground in the jury instructions and said, if you cannot knock down his assertion that he felt at fear, if you cannot demonstrate that he had no fear, then you cannot convict him.
And I'll grant you that, Tom, but you still have. It's not the absolute case that you described, and I think the left overblew that. But getting back to this,
I don't think this is left-right. I think this is pro-NRA, anti-NRA.
There is a movement in this country to use these cases in these anecdotes to justify restricting gun rights.
No, it's not. I'm not suggesting that we should restrict gun rights, although that's I would be glad to do so in another argument with you, and I have in the past. I'm suggesting that these stand your ground, shoot first laws that were basically written by lobbyists for the National Rifle Association, introduced into the states through the American Legislative Exchange Council via bought off Republican legislators, that these laws that were just there to increase the profits of the gun manufacturers who bankroll the NRA are destructive, that they are hurting us.
Yeah, that's a really twisted narrative. Basically, first of all, people are allowed to petition their Congress. That's fine. The fact of the matter is that if somebody is afraid for their life, they should have the right to address that fear.
Well, he certainly could have addressed that fear. He could have backed his car out and parked on the other side of the parking lot.
And, as you know, I live in Silver Spring, Maryland, and there was one particular night at Wheaton Station where somebody was harassing somebody about 20 feet away from me, and I looked over to see what it was, and that guy threw me such a look that I boarded the next bus because I was so But
you did the right thing, Neil. If you're afraid for your life, you get the hell out of there.
But if that guy followed me on the bus, and so the kid went into the train.
Well, now you're providing the justification for Trayvon Martin to have shot George Zimmerman.
Well, listen, if Trayvon Martin felt that he was in danger,
he clearly was. He ended up dead.
Well, Trayvon jumped Zimmerman from behind,
according to George,
and started bashing his head into the.
How do you get jumped from behind when you've been following somebody for 20 minutes?
You're walking back to your truck, Tom.
Yeah.
So so from behind, it's very easy. If you're
Neil, let's not relitigate that.
In fact, I think that this is a tragedy. I think that it's horrible what happened to this man and his family, but I think that it's also the case that although these tragedies happen, they're exceedingly rare, and unfortunately that's part of
26 young black men, I think one or two of them have been girls, have been murdered by white people using stand-your-ground defenses who got off in Florida since that law was passed.
I really don't like the racial spin that you're putting on this.
But that's how it's being used.
I don't think that there's an effort to kill black people using this law.
Okay. Neil McCabe, I embrace your idealism, but Neil McCabe, NeilWMcCabe.com. Thanks, Neil.
Take care, man. Bye.